In this video, I'll take you from start to finish how I created this vignette from pretty much scratch for the building facade and diorama base to painting and posing the figures with a little bit of conversion to them. All right, it's time for a new project, and it was started out as a Bastogne 101st little vignette diorama of this scene right here. I wasn't going to use these guys, but I used this photo. I was going to make this whole backdrop with the sign and the wall, etc., all that stuff. Well, I started out with good intentions and a good plan, and I used drawings. I found as many photos as I could get. I actually put some of the photos in AI and told it to remove the figures that were standing in front, and I even had it make a line drawing, etc., as you can see here. And I went to town working on all the dimensions, and I was getting all the sizing from the photo. Well, one problem I had was I didn't really realize how far in front that those soldiers in that photo were standing. So the scaling was way off. So it was a big mistake on my part. And yeah, it just didn't work out right. These guys are standing way further in front than I thought. But I had everything going here. I had it all pretty much set up. It might have been even better in 1/48 scale, but anyhow, I used stir sticks, and I was going to make it exactly like the photo with the wooden planks behind the window as seen, and these were done with coffee stirrers, and I had all the styrene at the bottom to make parts of the section in the photo, and everything was going really well until I started putting a figure in front of it and started to try to size things, and it just was not right. Here's a photo that AI did by taking the soldiers out from the front, and I really screwed up the sizing. That's what happened. Yep. So it was time to pivot. So I put the drawing in AI and told it to recreate it in a scene from Normandy, France, and it gave me these options, and I was like, huh, actually it looks pretty cool. AI is definitely a tool to use in these situations. I don't know how far I want to use it, because it's going to take away some of the art and some of the creativity that we have in us and that we put into our projects. But it's like the Garden of Eden, and you get tempted and you want to use it. So I used it for some of the signage and other pieces. So I started off changing it. See, I put a door, a window. I used these brick patterns from Plastruck that I had. They were the right size. So I used those instead of Magic Sculpt this time. I wanted to try it and see how it looked. So they are all glued into place. And so as you can see here, I used the original layout to start something new. So here you can see what I've got so far with the coffee stirs in place for the wood, some other styrene, the doors from Mini Art, diorama set, so is the window frame there. I made another little light fixture from the Mini Art set, as you could see, and everything was glued and then screwed down to a piece of wood that I had cut. And of course, it's one of my acrylic bases with the clear acrylic top. I always screw everything down. I don't always trust glue. As you can see, there's the acrylic top. Things are going well now, and I still had that little wooden strips across the top, and I used a piece of sprue for a downspout drainage pipe. So things are going along really well, and I was like, okay, I really like this, and if it comes out like the AI photo, great. And I really like those little shaker shingles that were in the AI photo, and I was like, wow, I got to do that because I really like the way they look. So I just cut each piece from a coffee stir. I try to use materials that you can readily get, and it might be around your house or just readily available for inexpensive. A bag of these coffee stirs are just pennies basically, and they'll last the rest of my life for building these things. I will never run out. The bricks were pretty smooth, so I got some Mr. Surfacer, and I started, it's the Mr. Surfacer 500, and just put a little texture on by dabbing all the bricks with it, and just making sure as it dried, I kept dabbing, and it gave it a texture, kind of like you do in your armor surfaces. And then, of course, I got some Magic Sculpt, and I started working up the sidewalks and the cobblestone streets section. Here you can see me just adding texture after I'd put down the Magic Sculpt onto a thin layer. This really flattens everything, and then with my little tool, I just start making some cobblestone type features for the sidewalk area. This always works out really well, and I've been doing it. If you've watched my other videos, you'll see this a lot. I do this on most all the street scenes, so you'll see this over and over. It's pretty repetitive, but this is what I do. After everything's sculpted in, I go back over with a toothbrush to kind of deaden some of those lines, and then give it some texture. And then here's some more texture on the plastic pieces I just cut out and put on there. And then Mr. Surfacer is used to give it some texture. I did that with the steps as well. Mr. Surfacer 500. And it's time for the roof. I've done this in the past a long time ago. I used sandpaper instead of plastic or cardboard, whatever, because it's got a texture, and I forgot all about it. So I was like, oh, wait a minute, let's bring out the sandpaper. So I cut some strips and then cut all the pieces out. I wasn't trying to make them perfect. I kind of want them a little different. That's that artsy thing where it's got that human touch to it, where they look a little bit not uniform, a little messy. They just look cool though when you put them all together like that, paint and weather them. So here I am applying them onto the roof section, which was just a styrene as well. And I'm using white glue, and I'm putting them in place. Like I said, I'm trying to make them a little straight, but also messy. I didn't want them to look perfect. Like I said, it just gives it a more character. And then for the rest of the cobblestone street, I just made small little round pieces of Magic Sculpt and put them in. A lot of times in the past, I think I've made them too large, so I really tried to get down to the right scale this time, making little tiny little round pieces and putting them all in there. And then they'll be textured down, and then you'll see the rest of the process soon here. But I put them all in place, and then I will texture them with the toothbrush, and that actually flattens them down, makes them more into a cobblestone looking feature here. And once again, the toothbrush keeps adding texture to it. Works out well, and you've seen my other videos, you're going to be seeing this in those. So here it is so far. The scene's taking place. A little extra here. There's the roof shingles. Yeah, they got some character. The light is in place. And here you can see how the shingles were. And then everything's sprayed with matte, flat can in a can. I was working on the window. I didn't know what to do, and then I had made a decal, and I was going to put a decal on the window so that way you would see through it some. And I've had a problem in the past. I usually spray it, as you see here, with flat finish after I print it on my printer, and that seems to set the ink jet inks. And here I made a sign too, and I sprayed it with clear flat. Well, with the sign, I don't know if I left it in the water too long. I had this problem before. If I buy a printer cartridges, the generics, they don't seem to work as well as an HP, which I have an HP printer. So as you can see here, I put it on and look, everything blurred. So. All right, it's time to start working back on the building. I put some white in the airbrush to bring out the highlights over the black. And it's just sprayed on pretty much from the top down because you just want to get the highlights. And this starts the painting process. And as you can see, it starts really coming to life in this section. And there's a little bit of mess up there, but that's fine. There was some spatter. I'm good with it. It's just more weathering on the bricks. So I'm pretty pleased so far. Everything's coming together. I used a sponge to paint the bricks. I use different rusty red colors, mix them up, but pretty much just use that sponge because I didn't want everything perfectly even. In the past, I've painted each brick. It comes out good too. There's both techniques work really well. And here you can see the paints I used and I mixed together. Some mixed more than the other. And once again, adding a different texture tone on there over the bricks to give it more life. You don't want everything to look monotone. That's the last thing you want. So you can see here I mixed a little bit of yellow with the red, give it more of an orangey tone, and put that on last. And then once again, even though I said earlier I didn't paint the bricks, I did go over some of them, not all of them, and I just picked out a few just to add more interest so they stood out a little bit maybe here and there. Just every little thing you do helps out. And as I said, the less monotone and the more tones you can put into your scene, the more it's going to look like the real thing and come to life. Because life is a lot of colors. There's a lot of colors in each color. So this part was pretty much done, and then I added a few more colors in there of the brown just to give some more life to those bricks. It was off to start painting the rest of the building facade. Here I am painting the door with acrylics. I mixed up a color as close as I could to the color in the AI rendering. I really liked it, so these are the colors I mixed together to get the color. Worked out really well. It was pretty close to the rendering. I was really pleased with it. And everything is painted, as you can see. And it's not real thick. I want a little bit of the underneath to show through that white color, because it's just bringing in more of the shadows and highlights if you do it this way. And once again, it's just taking away that monotone look, and that's what you don't want is monotone. Here you can see it painted up pretty much. Some of the places I added a second coat if it needed it, especially right here on this decorative trim, and it's all coming out pretty good. I enjoyed painting it with these paints. I did a little bit of highlighting by adding some flesh tone to that base color, and that was put on to create a highlight. Next was the cobblestones and the sidewalk and the street, and I just picked out some colors. I wanted some grays and some earthy browns for the street cobblestones, and the other sidewalk stones I wanted to contrast and be a little different, as you can see here. So I used more lighter shades of the brown colors and shades in there. Here you can see so far what's done. And next is to get the spackle out, mix up a little bit with some water. This is just wall spackling, and I mix it and put it on with a stiff brush and get it all in the cracks. Fill in all those cracks as it would be in nature or in real life. I guess it wouldn't be nature. I guess man did this, but you know what I'm talking about. And it's all spread on there, and I really push it into the cracks, and I also put it into the bricks. And this definitely changes the way they look and starts adding more and more of the realism that goes into this scene. The spackling works really well, fills in the voids, gets it looking correct. And then I just wipe off the spackle before it dries completely with a rag that's saturated with some water. It really makes a difference. And then, of course, I can't do a scene without a burnt umber wash mixed with terpenoid, and that's added in throughout the whole scene here. Some places more than others. I didn't want a whole bunch on the bricks, but I did want more on the cobblestones and the sidewalk. As you can see, I mix a little bit of terpenoid, go to my little dish there with some Artist Oil's burnt umber, and put it in. So this way I can control how much I want on there or how less I want on there. It works out good, and I do it the same way on a vehicle. And then I just wiped off a little bit of the excess with a cloth, and it really worked out really well with this wash. I was very pleased with it. The wash was also added around the doors here, the accents on the doors, just to give it some life, give it some shadows and some weathering. And I also did the same thing with the shingles, started adding some Artist Oil washes to bring in all the tones and colors. As you can see, same situation, put on the same way. And as you can see, I was pretty sloppy with those shingles, but I think they really add character. Mini arts set for the milk jug can, and I first painted it with a dark blue, and then I started dry brushing with a silver. I just used an acrylic silver I had, nothing special. And then on the light, I painted it green after the brown, and then I started dry brushing it with brass. I wanted it to look a little different. I like the effect of the brass over the green. It just really looks cool and gives it a lot of life, and it's just something about it. Looks like it's antiqued and weathered, and it looks like it should be in a street scene like this. Okay, and then AI gave me a milk tag graphic, and I added that to the can in French, and I thought it was a really cool idea, and I didn't come up with it. I wish I did. And then some more signs that AI gave me for French buildings in that time period. So I've just printed them out on cardboard and set them in place, weathered them a little bit, and everything was put in place with white glue. The general store sign. And I really liked it because it added some color too. At first I wasn't going to use the colorful one, but then I was like, why not? Let's take a chance here and let's let's do it. Because sometimes I'm a little bit too conservative. And then I printed out the same graphic onto a white sheet that I had marked with a marker, a light marker, to get some tones into the white, and put the clear acetate sheet, cut it out to size, put it on there, and then I was all set, ready to glue it in place. And I just used the Testors, it's like a canopy glue for clear surfaces, and I just set it in place. And that worked out actually better than the decals, so it was a win for me that it turned out that way. I was very pleased with that. The other signs, as you can see here, were made in AI. I even got a newspaper, and they were put in. I think this is occupation zone, German occupation zone sign for France. So I thought it was pretty fitting. And here you can see the signs in place. All right, it's time for the bicycle and other details. The Master Box German soldier with bicycle, I used this kit for the bicycle leaning on the building. It's a really nice kit, simple. It's a little bit small with petite parts, but they're really nice. And the photo etch, I used some of it. I didn't use all of it. In fact, some of the straps I used later on, you'll see in other parts of the scene. But anyhow, it's a really nice set, and it goes together fairly well. Like I said, it's small and petite, so you have to be very careful with the small parts. Like you can see here, shaving, you don't want to break anything, so you got to really take your time. It may not be for beginners, but once you have built a few models, get them under your belt, you can do it. The photo etch pieces are nice for the spokes. I mean, it makes a heck of a difference. The spokes are just great. I got to glue those in place. Now everything's in place, put together. It's sprayed black, and then I used this hull red over it because it was going to be a reddish bicycle. So I started with hull red, started spraying over the top, get some tones on there, and it's a really nice kit. I've had a lot of compliments on these bikes. And then I mix a little bit of red in it to the hull red to bring up some more tones, lighten up the bike a little bit. Here you can see how it looks so far. It's interesting how the black background makes it stand out instead of the white background. Yeah, actually, here's when I'm putting the red into the bike. I mixed it in with the hull red. You know, you really, when you just spray lots of different tones, you just start seeing the realism starts popping out, as you can see here, and it just really just jump starts everything. And then with acrylic paint, I painted the tires just by hand. Do the best you can, because the rest of the weathering process and all the other tones and things you're going to do to it will cover any mistakes you usually can make. I mean, you've got to get it pretty close, but if you make a little tiny mistake, don't worry about it. The rest of the weathering will take care of it, cover it up. Okay, back onto the diorama scene. The mossy green growth is just ground up pastels mixed with turpenoid, and it's put in a very thin wash. I added it also to some of the shingles and up into the gutter, places like that. And I used UV clear resin that it dries with a light, fluorescent light, and I use that to put a little bit of moisture, wet dripping out from the downspout on the building there. So I just put it in place. There's a coffee stick there, trimmed down. So they're used for everything on my scenes. And the fluorescent light now sets it up and dries it. Pretty cool. And then for the bicycle weathering, I just used all the dust in my pastel box and put it onto the bike, and it just, like I said earlier, it just and like magic made everything look right. I couldn't believe how nice it looked after I just brushed in these pastels onto it. Here you can see, really worked out really nice. I added some of the dust to the building in places. I wanted to get some of it into that clear glass just to dusty it up a little bit. And here's the bike completed. I was pretty happy with it. Came out all right. All right, now it's time for the Tamiya motorcycle kit. And it's a nice little kit. I've built it before in a scene. And of course I'm going to get some reference. Some of them are rebuilds, obviously, but it can help a lot when you go to build these models. Here's a scene I did a long time ago with it, and you can tell the spokes are the original spokes. And I had purchased the aftermarket PE set for it. Here you can see my older motorcycle. So get the kit out. It's a really, really nice kit from Tamiya. It's been out for a while, but it's a really nice one. And the photo earlier in the video at the beginning, you could see where Tamiya used that as an inspiration for this kit. Especially the guy's head with the goggles on it is just like the one in the photo at the beginning of the video. You get one sprue, and with the motorcycle, and nice instructions as always with Tamiya. And in here is the Voyager set I spoke of earlier. It's a nice set. I didn't use all those little tiny things. I just can't do it anymore. Put the spokes together, put them in place. They worked out really, really well. I really liked it. It's a huge improvement. In fact, I bought a couple other motorcycle sets. So I want to do another one. And of course, once I've done this, I'm going to be burnt out and I'm not going to do it for a while. But so the motorcycle's sprayed with Tamiya red brown once it was completed. And this is just my basic for the rest of the painting. I used Tamiya dark yellow now to start the tones, bring this guy to life now. I always start from the top, work down, always keeping these shades on the sides and top by aiming downward. That way you're constantly creating that fake shadow from the darker colors you put first. And then I mix a little bit of white with the armor yellow to bring even a second highlight color into it, just to bring it more to life, get a more 3D effect here. And as you can see, it's a nice start, right? It looks pretty good. The rest will just be detailed painting and washes that I use inside. I painted the engine, the pipes with a dark wash, as you can see here. And I used the alcohol inks to put some of the wash in there. They definitely have a bluish tone. I don't know how I'll be using these in the future, but we'll see. But they worked out all right on this. And then I dry brushed sections of the engine that were silver. And you just take your time and get in there without touching the other stuff. You can do it. If you can see it, you can do it. And then I just painted the rest of the little details that needed to be painted on the motorcycle, like the seats and the handlebars. The grips are painted silver, things like that. All right, the figures. We're going to use some Hornet heads. I was going to change it up. The motorcycle rider received a Hornet head. I trimmed off the top of the head. I wanted the helmet to kind of be casual on his head, so I used my little Dremel tool to just sand out all the inside so it would fit onto his head. Here you can see it drilled out. Worked out really well. And I use the straps, as I said earlier, from the bicycle kit to make the straps on his helmet, and even the buckle on the other side. I was like, okay, this is cool. I'll use it. The Alpine figure has a Hornet head as well. Really nice Alpine figure. And the third figure is Alpine, and he's used straight out of the box. Excellent figures, as everyone knows when you get an Alpine figure. The thing I did add to change him was a cigarette in his mouth. Come on, guys, I'm not seeing enough cigarettes in your figures for World War II. They smoked a lot. Drilled a hole into the scene to accept this figure so I could start understanding the layout and seeing how everything was going to fit and put in place to get everything ready for painting on these guys. I tried something a little different. My painting techniques are all over the place, so I don't want to teach that per se, but I'll just show what I did. I used a blue and a red. I wanted to make a purple, as you can see here, and on my fingernail. It really came out a little darker than I wanted. I wanted more of a reddish purple. But I was like, all right, let's just do it. So what you can see here is I've sprayed over the figures with basic skin tone over that purple. And that's to get the highlight color, and that's going to be my base for the rest of the painting, is going to go over that. I wanted that purple to show through more on the faces, but it's going to be all right. We'll figure out a way to get past it. This is what I used for my skin tones. Everything was mixed with AK's Ultra Flat Finish, and then I just used the glazing technique to start painting these figures. I use different techniques, and as I said, I'm not ready to put out a figure painting video in 1/35 scale yet. If I ever do, I want it to be something that's groundbreaking and not just to get likes and clicks and more videos out. I just want to make sure that whatever I put out is actually something people can understand and use. So once again, as I said, I was using the glazing technique and working these figures. That's a lot of work. The figure painters out there like Calvin Tan, they're spending so much time on all the different glazing effects that it would have taken me months and months longer to finish this if I had put the amount of time into the diorama that I put into the figures. But I think they're convincing, and they turned out as good as I could get them. I printed out the Italian camouflage jacket original so I could get scale size for adding it, and then I started adding the camouflage to the motorcycle rider's pants, and the other figure is his complete uniform is in the Italian camouflage. So you could see the colors that I picked, and I went straight over that yellow, and when I was done, I really wasn't too pleased with the yellow that I had picked. So I went back in, and with a very thin coat of yellow, a transparent coat, went over the darker yellow I had there to saturate it more, so it looked a little more like the photos of that type of camouflage. I used some of those same straps for this helmet because I was going to just convert the guy a little bit. You'll see later. And then once again, with references to paint the other camouflage for the figures. And you can see the colors I use here. And you just got to take your time and paint it as close to your reference as you can. I've painted German camouflage better in the past and not as good in the past. It's like art. Sometimes it's going to come out better than others or come out different. But I was pretty happy with the way it came out. It wasn't exactly how I wanted it, but nothing ever is. So I was able to figure out a way to get by with what I had done. So it would meet my needs on this scene and it come out the way I wanted. So I kept working at it and working at it till I got what I wanted. You've got to remember, when you do these camouflage patterns, you really should print out some reference in the size that you're working, because I see a lot of modelers making this camouflage way too big and not in scale. So it's something you really got to look at. And I'll tell you the other thing, when you're doing this, take a picture with your phone and blow it up and you'll be like, uh-oh. So it's something that just helps you over and over by looking at your work magnified. I can't say enough for looking at your work magnifying. If you're not wearing magnifiers when you work, I don't care how good your eyes are, you're not going to get as good of results, because your photo is probably your most important aspect of our modeling now, because we share on social media so much. So your photographs are real important if you're going to share. So you want to make sure that they're looking good at the scale that you're working at. So I would take pictures with your phone, blow them up, look, and if you see anything you need to change, that's a good time to do it. So I got some acrylic black brown and made a thin wash, as you can see here. And I put it over the final camouflage pattern painting. And this kind of tones everything together, draws everything together, and really creates a faded, worn look, and it just looks good. And then with that epoxy resin, I put a drop on the motorcycle's odometer, speedometer, and made it like a clear glass. And then I'm back to the my magic dust here, and put it into the motorcycle just like I did the bicycle, and man, it just made such a cool difference. It just put everything together, tied everything together, gave it a worn look without it being overdone, but a very dusty look like you see inside motorcycles and vehicles that have been out riding on dirt roads, etc. And it just made the difference. And any excess, you just can grind it into your base. That's what I did. Put it on the seat there, dusty it up. Just really nice effects. Put them on the boots and shoes of the figures, and it just finishes up everything really nicely. And that's it, folks. The acrylic base. Take the top off, and here's the scene all finished. Roger Herkman, a good friend of mine, I sent him a photo and he's like, that's your best one yet. And coming from him, I guess I have to say this is my best one yet. He's an outstanding diorama builder, just outstanding. If you know his work, it's amazing. I added these leaves there, as you could see earlier, just to give some more interest to the scene. And it was a long project, but it was worth it. And I could tell as I was working, this was going to look really nice at the end. So thanks for watching, and continue to check out my videos.
Speicherregelung stoßen Sie zu uns. Verstanden?
Ja, genau.
Viel Glück.
Es gibt ein Fabrikgelände nordöstlich von hier zu räumen. Und jetzt, direkt weg. Verstanden? Dann los!
Jetzt gibt's das vor die Flinte, Mädels, verstanden? Jawohl! Hier. Na dann, verhauen wir mal lieber ein bisschen, ne?
Jüdisches Busch im Schwein.
Schneider!
Schmidt könnte noch leben.
Reiß dich zusammen!
Aber er...
Nichts aber.